Hey everybody, so finally we are live. Karyn Bryant with you. We're calling this the podcast, but as you can see, the beautiful person that's usually sitting here is not with me right now. Alan Jouban, he's got a fight coming up. He's going to be fighting at UFC on Fight Night, the Mexico City fight on August 5th. So Alan's been very busy training and everything. We will try to get something going for later this week, but right now it's just me. And I wanted to talk to you guys about what was going on last week and some news that broke today. So if you have some questions, why don't you, just sit here because I've got my computer open and we're going to talk about it. But in general, I wanted to talk to you guys about everything that happened at International Fight Week. And we had the TUF 25 finale. We had UFC 213. Obviously, like I said, there was some news that happened today. As you guys know, our good friend Gegard Mousasi is no longer a UFC fighter. Just so you guys know, Gegard and I were texting today, and we're probably going to do a Skype interview tomorrow. I know we talked to some people today, and maybe you sort of kind of got the story in print. But you guys all know there's only one place to go for a Gegard Mousasi interview. And that's right here on the Karyn Bryant channel. Gegard and I and Wade, we've all been friends for years and years and years. So really happy for the guy. It's a bummer to me to not be able to hype his fights when I'm, on UFC Tonight or to be covering his fights on Fight Night. But, we were out to dinner with him, a few weeks back. After his last fight with Chris, he was here in LA and we were all hanging out. And I know for him, getting paid is a big priority. He is not a person who has been so caught up and worried about titles and championships and that whole thing. Homeboy wants to get paid, which I can understand and I can respect that. He has things that he likes to do outside of his life, outside of his fighting life, where I mean, let's be honest. For all of us, money's a priority. But for Gegard, I know money was something that was important to him. And so I understand that. And I recognize why he has left the UFC. And I mean, he loves Scott Coker. They're people they've worked together before at Strikeforce. So, yes, I'm bummed that I won't be able to hype his fights on UFC stuff. But listen, he's one of our best buds. We're really happy for him. And like I said, we'll probably talk tomorrow. We'll probably get an interview out with him tomorrow. We were texting a bunch today, and I know a lot of people to talk to, and I'm happy for him. So we'll be talking with him as well. It's good stuff. But okay, so we've got a bunch of questions. Listen, obviously it was mental last week out in Vegas. Wade and I got home yesterday after a crazy week. I was out there for UFC Tonight, for TUF Talk, and then we had the TUF weigh-ins and finale and all that good stuff. So there was a lot of things that happened. And mostly a lot of people here I'm seeing already on the comments. People were talking about the Justin Gaethje fight with Michael Johnson. So maybe we could just sort of start there. Friday, the TUF finale was something obviously I was really looking forward to. I get to know the guys on The Ultimate Fighter quite well. And for those of you who were like, oh my God, they announced it. What did we announce it Wednesday night? That Gaethje and James Krause were going to be fighting. And I did know that for quite some time. And, people ask me, I get these things on social media. Hey, did you know XYZ? Did you know that whoever? So yeah, so I know about the whole fight layout, like from Jump Street. So I know who's won every fight. I know how they win. I know the whole layout of the whole season from the beginning. So it can be pretty tough sometimes, no pun intended, to act like we don't know stuff. And when we're doing TUF Talk to, sort of talk to these guys and, hey, how was their experience? And we maybe know they got further or they got called back for, to fill in for a spot or this, that, and the other thing. So really happy for Gaethje and James Krause that they even got to fight on the finale. Tom Gaethje, I know a lot of you feel like the jury is split on that one. Some people thinking he shouldn't be there and he's XYZ and he's not good enough and whatever. And the other half really understands the appeal of Tom Gaethje and they connect with how much heart he has and everything. So, I knew that Tom was going to be able to get that fight in the finale card. A lot of the time people from the show get to be on the finale card. So I'm happy they both were able to make it. And yes, I thought James Krause would win. And on paper, if you look at that matchup, he should win. He's still an active UFC fighter, and Tom is not. But I just wish you guys could get to know him. He is a sweetheart of a guy. Will he ever get a chance in the UFC after this? I don't know. Could he hang with UFC fighters? I mean, if we're being honest, probably not. I mean, he's got a great ground game and he's great at submissions. His stand-up is, you know, if you're looking at a lot of the guys in that division, it'd be a little tough for him. But Tom is such a sweetheart, and he's a person who I'm so happy for that he even got that chance. So just really applaud him in that and really wish him the best. But, you know, for Krause, that's great. For Jesse Taylor and Dhiego Lima, like Jesse Taylor, when you want to talk about a redemption story, and if you guys missed it, we did talk to him on UFC at the desk on the post-fight show, and that is on the UFC and Fox YouTube channel, and I think we also put it on our MMA Heat Facebook page. But, you know, Jesse is one of those guys who, you know, truly is that redemption story. For those who don't know, I mean, at this point, I guess you know, but he completely screwed up. Like, he won the season. He was on his way to the finale and got hammered and got in a limo and got to a casino the night before his finale, and it was like, I'm a UFC fighter and all this stuff and all this bluster and all this thing, got way ahead of himself, got in trouble, got removed from the finale. So to me, to see Jesse redeem himself was really, truly amazing and was a very heartwarming story of, you know, there's a word, stick-to-itiveness, which is sort of a made-up word, but I think if you look it up, it's actually really there. But, you know, he never gave up, and he left the UFC and went outside the UFC and put together a bunch of wins and fought, like, a ridiculous amount of times. So very, very happy for him. But Jesse, Dhiego as well, had a phenomenal season, and, you know, his brother is obviously the Bellator champ. Dhiego has learned so much in his time away from the UFC that I really hope he gets an opportunity as well. Solid fighter, great dude. Happy for both those guys. Okay, so let's look at some of these questions. I know Wade was tapping me or something. So was there one that you thought specifically that I should be looking? Okay. Oh, of what?
The post-fight presser.
The post-fight presser. So anyway, so obviously Friday night. Okay, so yeah, but Tony is okay. I'm trying to look at your questions as well. But Friday night, that Gaethje fight. Like, can we just take a timeout to talk about that Gaethje fight? Okay, so on Wednesday, he came on UFC Tonight. Maybe you have some visuals.
I have the post.
Oh, you got the post-fight presser, Justin. So he came on UFC Tonight. Now, I had not really spoken to Justin before this. And last Friday, or last Thursday or whatever, there was a media event here in LA where we had a lot of the UFC 213 fighters and Justin and Michael Johnson. So if you guys saw any of that footage, you saw that I was on my own that day. Wade was not there, so I literally had my cell phone, and I ran around covering as many people as I could. I had just my camera. There was a ton of people, and there was only 1 hour. So the two people that I missed were Justin Gaethje and Valentina Shevchenko, unfortunately, and I'm sorry for that. But I did speak to Justin Gaethje on UFC Tonight, and everything that he said about laying it all out there on the line and being a guy who wants to meet his equal and all that stuff. I'm talking to him, and I was sort of like looking at his eyes like, I hear you saying this, and you look sort of crazy enough to actually be meaning this stuff that you're saying. But good luck, you know, because Michael is very technical. So I actually had expected Michael to be more of a technical fighter in that fight. I expected him to be the crisper striker. I expected him to stick and move. I expected him to use that length. And I thought that Michael would win just because of the fight IQ that he could employ in being a quote-unquote smart fighter. Had no idea that Justin would be able to pull him into the brawl that he was. But at the same time, the whole time I was just like, well, this is freaking awesome. So even though Michael abandoned the plan that could have won him the fight, I love that he did so. And, you know, I had said afterwards that, you know, Gaethje obviously, you know, is probably a lot of people's new favorite fighter because that was absolutely bananas and totally awesome. But I had said in there that I thought that Michael Johnson's stock went up even in defeat. And somebody tweeted to me online, they were like, hey, KB, explain to me how his stock could go up. Are you kidding me? Like, did you see that fight? Like, even though he lost, I feel like Michael Johnson, everybody now knows homeboy is ready, willing, and able to throw down in that kind of fan-friendly whatever fight. So to me, even though he lost, and I know Michael's record reflects several losses in his last fights, you know, like I play tennis. Sometimes you might lose 6-2. It doesn't mean you didn't go to deuce 97 times. So though Michael has lost, I feel like his stock does go up. You can't be in that kind of fight and not gain fans and not have people recognize that you are like a total badass who's just willing to go there and throw down. Now, was it the smart approach for Michael Johnson? No. Like I said, I thought he was going to be more technical, stick and move, jab. He's super fast. And if you guys heard Justin afterwards, he even admitted, like, oh my God, this guy is way crazy fast. And Michael got pulled into that fight. I'm kind of glad he did, though, because it probably is going to be fight of the year. If not, it's certainly an early contender. And it was amazing. And Justin's cool. He came on UFC Tonight. He came on the post-fight show with us afterwards, and he seemed super cool. Really happy to have him there. He was asking for a fight with Tony Ferguson. Me personally, I am still waiting for Tony versus Khabib. That is a fight that we've tried to book 3 times. And hopefully the 4th time is a charm. I know that Dana had mentioned something about Khabib and Conor fighting in Russia after Conor and Floyd. Okay. I still think Khabib and Conor and Tony needs to happen for the actual challenger. So I like the idea of Justin versus Tony because I think that would be really, really fun. I think actually Tony would sneak into submission because Justin, something would happen and he'd get down there and Tony's so fast with his darces, with his whatever. I think Tony would win by submission. That's just me. But sure, I'll watch that fight. I'll sign off on it. I think that would be amazing. Okay. So let's see. What are you guys asking me about? Justin is happy to be in the UFC. He's a breath of fresh air. He is. Love it. But here's the thing. He's a breath of fresh air, yes, because the way he fought. I don't think he's the only guy willing to do that. And to be honest with you, I fear how long will his chin last. I, like you, a lot of you guys, am happy to see that kind of fight. And I think it's really fun. But you got to play defense, yo. You got to play defense. So it's fun and it's cool while it lasts. I would rather see Justin play a little more defense than just get his chin worn down and punched out too soon, because I think he's a really fun fighter to watch. So please, I personally would ask for some defense, but at the same time, yeah, come on. Who doesn't want to see Justin Gaethje fight? Because that was super cool. Okay, so people are talking about what I'm looking at some of your your questions here. Karyn tells us about how Bisping wanted Johnson to teach Gaethje a lesson. Yeah, okay, so that was really interesting. You know, if you guys haven't heard by now, Bisping is his own man, and Bisping will say whatever the heck Bisping feels like. So for those of you who missed it on UFC Tonight, I was standing there with Justin, and Michael Bisping was talking to Michael Johnson and Kenny. And Bisping was sort of laying it into there, like, Johnson, hey, you got to teach Gaethje a lesson, and UFC fighters are different. And Michael was pretty all out in his support of Michael Johnson and hoping that Gaethje got creamed. And it was a little awkward because I was standing there with Justin, and he could hear it all. And I was like, yeah, anyway. But as we know, obviously Justin was able to pull it off. And honestly, Michael appreciated that fight too. And Justin proved himself worthy of being there in the UFC. Michael Johnson tweeted some stuff out, very respectful about Gaethje. I think it's all good for everybody. We got a great new person in the UFC. Michael Johnson, I personally believe his stock went up as well. And, Bisping gonna Bisping. So what you gonna do? Maybe if you see questions more so than I do. Okay, yeah. But okay, so what else do you guys want to talk about? Let's see. Ping Dhiego Sanchez versus Gaethje. I see somebody saying Dhiego Sanchez and Gaethje's fight. That was my whole thing. I was like, can we please have Justin Gaethje versus Dhiego Sanchez? Or I know that Gilbert Melendez is going to be dropping down to 45 now, but like Gilbert Melendez versus Gaethje would be amazing. I know Gaethje, like I said, called out Tony. Gaethje versus Edson Barboza would be amazing. Something like that. Like, he's definitely a fun guy to have in the mix. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Okay, somebody's asking me, what do I think is next for Brown? Gotta be honest. I expected a little more from Travis Brown in his fight with Alexy Olynyk. Travis and I spoke at that media day, and he was talking about it being all or nothing and putting it all on the line and having nothing to lose and having everything to lose. I know he trained differently this time. He had Josh Barnett. He was training with Ray Sefo, who was out in Vegas doing different things. You know, I don't know what it is, because Travis has the skill, I believe. You know, there were different things at the time when he first got on the scene. He was kind of fighting on instinct without skill. Then he tried to add skill to the mix, and maybe some of the instinct went away, and he was thinking too much about the technique. So I was really hoping that this last time that he was going to put it all together and just and add the technique and that raw instinct that he had initially. I didn't see it. You know, if I'm being completely honest, you know, I saw Travis that was, you know, maybe just not fully committed to being there, and I was surprised. I thought I was going to see a different guy. Olynyk obviously is very good with submissions and has done some very, very crafty things. He's called the boa constrictor for a reason. But I was surprised that the Travis that we saw looked like maybe he didn't want to be there as much. So I get it. You know, it happens. People get to a point in their career where maybe they don't have it as much. He's a really good guy, has always been very cool with me and Wade, and I certainly wish him the best, and I hope that, you know, he and Ronda have a very happy life together. I would rather see him not fight and be happy than to fight if he doesn't feel like he can perform to the, you know, way he wants to and get hurt. So, you know, personally, I guess would say I was surprised at the performance. I thought he would do better, but if he's done, I wish him the best, and that's what we have there. So what's that?
Just in the post-fight press release.
In the post-fight, Wade's got some footage here. The post-fight press. Dana was talking about Travis, or no?
Just saying he should retire.
Dana was apparently, I guess, I was still doing my show, but Dana, I guess, was saying he thought that Travis should maybe retire. I mean, you know, again, that's none of us. That's none of our jobs, and to tell people when to stop. But like I said, to me, I did think he would have a better showing. And there were certainly some moments that were very good. But, you know, at the end of the day, I guess he just sort of to me appeared to be somebody, you know, whose just heart wasn't in it anymore. And that's okay. I don't want to get punched in the face like ever. So I can imagine after several years, you might just be ready to stop. And that's fine. Like I said, always been a cool guy with us. You know, and I wish him the best in whatever he does moving forward, because he's a good dude. Okay, so gatekeeper. Okay, let's see. Gaethje. Okay, who do I think is going to win, McGregor or Floyd? Here's the thing, and just for a little promotional element, Kenny Florian and I will be in the studios for Fox all this week doing shows around these press conferences. They will initially air on FS2 and then they will rerun on FS1. So the time frame is supposed to be sort of an hour bookended around the time that these press conferences are going to happen. Neither of these gentlemen are necessarily known for being prompt, so I don't know if they will happen on time, but that is the hope. But Kenny and I will be in the studios for that. Now, that being said, who will win?
They may not know about the press conferences.
Well, sure, Manuel Ruiz. You know that there's a world tour this week. Tomorrow, LA. The next day, Toronto. The next day, New York. The next day, London.
London.
Right. So, Conor and Floyd are going to get together and have a press conferences, which are supposed to last 45 minutes. In whatever Fox, Kenny, and I will be doing shows, like I said, and we'll bookend sort of beginning and end. But we don't know what time these things will actually start. That being said, conventional wisdom says that Floyd Mayweather will win a boxing match against somebody who is not a boxer. And then the wisdom that I have learned after covering Conor McGregor fights is that Conor gonna Conor, and Conor can do whatever. Like, I've said this many times, that I believe Conor is either blessed by God or has made a deal with the devil, one way or the other. This man is able to pull things off that nobody should be able to pull things off. And every time he does it, I stand by with like the golf, not even a golf clap. I stand by and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So I am a huge Conor fan. I think he's awesome. I love what he has done for MMA. I love his vibe. Every time I've ever interviewed him, he's been amazing. He is one of the most fun people to be around if you're on my side of the camera, and I'm all about Conor. I'm not mad at him at all. Big fan. But Floyd is Floyd. Floyd is amazing. Floyd, Floyd has beaten the best in the world. One of our good friends, Justin Fortune, is one of Manny Pacquiao's trainers. He and Freddie Roach work together. Justin is a former heavyweight contender himself, fought Lennox Lewis, and Justin has a gym here in LA. Fortune Gym, by the way, you should go there. He does strength and conditioning for Manny. I know what it's like to talk to people who trained against Floyd, and I know how hard it is to beat him, and it hasn't been done. I swear to God, Conor's either got that gift or made that deal. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it just might. And isn't that going to be absolutely freaking crazy if he pulls that off? I can't wait. Like, I just can't wait.
Karyn, Conor's going to win.
Okay, Dana, is he really?
Who are you kidding here?
So, yeah, Wade boosted some faces.
Conor's the man.
If you guys were at our tapings the other day on UFC Tonight and Tough Dog, we had these big, huge heads. It's very funny.
He's making a lot of money.
Anyway, listen, Floyd should probably win, but god dang it, I hope Conor gets it done because that will be freaking awesome, and it will be amazing. And no, that's me. It's me and me.
Right, it's twins.
Twins. This is what I mean.
Two is better than one.
Is it?
Two
Not
is
according to
better than
you.
one.
It's two people nagging you. Two nagging wives for Whittaker. Okay, so anyway, I have the same answer as all of you. Your heart says Conor, your head says Floyd. That's how it goes. Am I any different than any of y'all? I don't think so. Wade's a savage. Wade is the GOAT cameraman. Yes, for all of you, Wade does take time out to film the ring girls for all of you, and I'm glad you guys appreciate it.
Since they're mentioning it,
Why
don't we take a little
Are you
break?
taking a Ringo break right now?
Take a Ringo break.
You're taking a Ringo break. I get it.
Here's a little Ringo break.
All right, a little Ringo break there. Oh yeah, they had the all-star lineup the other day.
5 ring girls this week.
What do I think about Ngannou versus JDS? Deborah? What do I think about that? Here's what I think about that. Ngannou could win because Ngannou is powerful and he's like this raw material, and he, the last time he learned a Kimura backstage and pulled it off in the fight. Like, okay. Junior, though, is technically way better. Junior is a great boxer. Junior, as we know, has been to war. Junior has a way higher fight IQ. Junior Sagano should win that fight on experience and ability and smarts. But I think Francis Ngannou is one of those people who also sort of may just be blessed as this gifted athlete who lands the right thing and puts Junior out. I am concerned about Junior's chin. I am concerned about how much damage he has taken over the years. But my heart says, I keep going heart and head. It's not even my heart. Let me scratch that. Junior should win because of his experience and fight knowledge and ability. But Ngannou could pull it off because he's raw and powerful. And sometimes, it's like that thing, and that might be the same thing that happens with Conor and Floyd. When someone's supposed to fight you a right way, right? Like, so with Floyd, he's used to boxers who square off with him in a boxing stance and fight him the right way. And Conor will not fight him that way. He'll fight him differently. And so Conor might have this edge because of unpredictability, because of angles, because of being a southpaw, because of the power, because of the size. There's a lot of stuff that actually works in Conor's favor. And I feel like with Ngannou against Junior, that could be the same sort of thing. Like, this guy shouldn't win because he doesn't have the boxing prowess. He shouldn't win because he doesn't know as much as Sagano. He shouldn't win because of XYZ. But he could because he's Ngannou and he's raw material and he's on his way up. And Sagano is more road weary. That one's hard. I like both those guys so much. My thing is, I guess with this fight, I'm okay with it because I'd rather have Ngannou fight Junior instead of jumping right into Stipe or Overeem or a title shot. The problem with the problem I have sometimes with the UFC is they get this great prospect and they rush him a little bit too quickly. So I would love it if Francis had the time to develop into the spectacular athlete we know he's going to be. So I just would love it if they don't force him too fast. But I'm okay with him fighting Ngannou. I like that fight. I think it's cool. And Ngannou's like such a badass looking dude. DC has a major crush on him. He's got like a total bro crush on Ngannou. I got a really funny pictures of them last year when we were all in Chicago. And DC was like all hyped up on Ngannou. Like, how can you not get hyped up on that guy? He's super cool looking. He's built like a brick S house. There's so much to like about Francis Ngannou. I don't know why anybody wouldn't be on that hype train. I'm totally on the Ngannou hype train. I just hope they take it slowly and don't put him too. Don't rush him too much, because I'd hate for him to get like a setback loss that would discourage him. I feel like even if he lost now, if he's losing to a guy like Ngannou, that's going to be a teachable moment, and that's going to be a good thing. Okay, so what else were we talking about? Anybody else coming? I'm trying to scroll up to some of the earlier things, but now that we got some people watching, what else do we know? I don't know. UFC, Gaethje. We were just talking about Gaethje. Okay, maybe we should talk about the UFC 213 and the fact that Amanda didn't fight. Okay, so maybe we should talk about that. So that was a real bummer to me. What do I think is Extra Brown? I already answered that one. I'm looking. I'm sorry. Bisping is hilarious. By the way, I agree with you, JB.
So here's some morning footage.
Okay, so here's some morning footage of Amanda weighing in. And Wade was at that. I was not there. So Wade was there, and by all accounts, she looked sort of normal-ish, right?
Well,
she looks a little.
She's a little. She's
sweating. A little sweaty, a little timid. I guess everybody is saying that. But listen, a weight cut is hard. Listen, for those who don't know, I'm 5'8". Amanda is basically the same size as me, and we joke about Amanda being my stunt double on some stuff. But I don't weigh that much. That's like basically my sort of walk around weight or whatever. But like Amanda is a broad-shouldered woman. I would say I'm more hippie than she is. She's a little more straight-hipped than I am, whatever. But like she's about the same size as me. It's like I understand that making weight is never easy for any of these girls. Amanda's a girl that walks around. I'm not exactly sure, but she's a solid girl. I'm not trying to talk smack to her in a bar or in an alley, because she would wreck me. There's a comparison. So Valentina, for those who don't, she's a lot smaller. And I put a picture up of me and Valentina on Instagram and everything. But like for Valentina to make a $135, way, way, way easier. Because I think she's only 5'6" or so. And I'm 5'8". Amanda's 5'8" or so. Valentina's a much smaller person. In fact, I remember when I was in Chicago last year and Valentina beat Holly Holm on the Fox show. And she came up to the desk. And, I see these women all the time. But I'm just sort of, I looked at her and I was like, gosh, she seems so little. And you can see, and granted, I was wearing some heels there in this picture that Wade has up of us on Instagram. And, Valentina was probably wearing sneakers or whatever. But like I said, I'm 5'8". I think she's 5'6" or 5'5". And so she's not that big. So I think it's a lot easier for Valentina to make weight. But when she came up to the desk that time, I was like, dang, you beat Holly Holm, because Holly Holm is a solid woman. And for Valentina to be that small and to be able to beat somebody like Holly, I thought was well impressed. So Amanda made the weight. But she got cleared by the doctors, but she's talking about her sinusitis and how that is not something that she felt good about fighting with, and that leads to dizziness, that leads to a lot of problems. So, people are asking me like, oh, what do you think? Is that like a bitch move for a champ? Like, no, I'm not a professional fighter. I know when I was at the desk with Dominic and Michael and Kenny, Dom and Mike were basically like, hey, it sucks. None of us are ever 100%, and it's your job, and you need to show up and fight. But I do understand that, it's your job to show up and fight and everything, but it is also her title on the line. There's a lot more to lose, and I understand that nobody feels 100%. But none of us are in Amanda's body. None of us know how bad that is. Like I was saying to somebody before we got the live stream going here before, talking about the allergies in Vegas. Like literally, I can't mainline enough allergy medicine when I go there, and I'm not a professional fighter, and I'm just somebody who needs my voice to talk or whatever. Whenever I go there, because there's so much construction and all this crap, there's so much stuff floating around in the air that I always get puffy. I swell up like crazy while I'm there in Vegas, and it's hard to breathe, and there's a lot of problems. Kenny Florian, same thing. All of us at the desk are on meds so badly that literally our sound guy brought us all honey. He lives in Vegas, and he has bees and brought honey because we were all talking about how it's great to take it. I know this is probably way derivative, but natural bee pollen from the city to help give you equilibrium on the allergies there. So it is 100% a real thing. All of us were stuffy and swollen up and messed up in Vegas just because of all the crap in the air. So I personally absolutely understand what Amanda's talking about, and I give her the benefit of the doubt. You know, some people are saying, oh, she's scared, she's this, she's that. I don't know. I'm not Amanda. I don't know if she's scared. I understand that she might be reluctant to fight at, I mean, what if she was only 25%? What if she was only 50% or whatever? I don't know. But Valentina is a legitimate opponent to the point where if I was feeling, I mean, shoot, I don't even know what I would say. I guess I would say if I'm feeling 85%, I would go. Other than that, I don't know. I'm just saying I personally can't throw Amanda under the bus for not fighting because I don't know how bad it was. And I know personally for me, even just being a GD television anchor, that I'm sitting there suffering from allergies. So I can't imagine having to go in there and have somebody punch my face and try to wreck me and kill me and take me apart when I did not feel good. Am I disappointed? Of course. Wanted to see that fight. Really wanted to see that fight. I'm a fan of both women, and I think they are both legit badasses. You know, the story is that they'll get rescheduled for Edmonton in September. Hopefully the allergy problems aren't so bad up there. You know, it's easy to bust on people. It's easy. But I just personally prefer to not crap all over Amanda for that because I'm not her, and I don't know how bad it was. It had to be bad enough. She's not a woman who I think is afraid of much. We see her a lot. She doesn't strike me as a fearful person. You've seen what she's done to other women. She's a wrecking machine. I gotta believe it was a real deal for her not to fight. Got to believe that. It sucks for Valentina, though. Girl was ready, willing, and more than able. It sucks. It just is a crappy situation. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, you know what? For people who say disparaging things against Amanda, that's not cool. Okay. A Valentina versus Amanda super fight at 125 pounds. Wouldn't that have been amazing? You know, and it was so funny. Joanna was saying, like, I want to get in there and fight, and we could do it for the 25. That's a badass idea. They can't really clear somebody to fight like that without the meds and all that stuff, but that would have been amazing. Joanna versus Valentina would have been so badass. I just love me some Joanna champion. Everybody knows that, though. If anybody has ever watched this podcast, and hopefully you have, it's not usually like this. Like I said, usually Alan Joe Ben is here as well, but he's training. He's got a fight coming up at Mexico City. And so that's why he's not here right now, but we'll probably do one later on this week as well. And there's so much to talk about. Okay, so what else is anybody talking about? Who's my favorite male fighter, Karyn? Trixon Dixon is asking. My favorite male fighter. I don't have a 100% all-time favorite. People that I won't miss, and luckily it's because of my job and I get to be there for a lot of them. But even if I weren't, even before I worked for Fox, even people that I would never miss a fight. Cub Swanson, Jose Aldo, Shogun Rua, Gegard. I mean, he's our buddy. Always watch his fights, though. I always would watch a Joanna fight. Can't miss her. Cannot miss. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. There was, you can't miss a John Jones fight. And in the beginning, John Jones was somebody who beat a lot of my favorite people, so I was kind of like bummed. You gotta watch a John Jones fight. Come on. Robbie Lawler, I don't miss. I don't miss Demetrius Johnson fights. And I don't miss, There's some more of my favorites. But that's a basic handful of some of my favorite people.
Well, we're talking about legends. We have the Legends Panel.
Legends? Okay. Okay, so there was the Legends Panel, which Brian Stan hosted, and it had Tito Ortiz, it had Bas Rutten, it had Don Frye, it had Nogueira, who of course showed up late, like a Brazilian, bless his heart. That panel was really fun. You know, we were there. We were about to do the weigh-in show. So we were there. We were set up, and so I was listening to that. By the way, Brian Stan, for all of you who don't know, but you already know this, future president of the United States of America, totally has my vote. You guys don't even know, but like we joke about it when stuff happens at Fox if Brian is there, but we're all just like, we're just gonna hide behind you and do whatever you say. But that panel was amazing. You know, Tito is somebody who a lot of people like to take pot shots at. Tito is somebody who, for many, is easy to pick on. But for us, for me, for Wade, for all of us at MMA Heat, has always been a very, very solid guy. I got a lot of respect for Tito. You know, Tito is a person who has put asses in the seats from way, way, way back, and deserves the the accolades that he gets. I know sometimes people make fun of him, missteps he might have on the microphone or whatever, but you guys, if you're in your heart of hearts, admit it. You guys know that every time Tito fought, you watched. So to me, much respect. And Bas Rutten is obviously a legend. He's a guy who's been so fun to watch. To me, Bas Rutten is somebody who I like even more on a personal level, more than just watching his fights, because he was amazing. But he's somebody who, when I used to work with Strikeforce and cover different things, Bas Rutten would be up there, and we would, there have been situations where I've been out in a bar and somebody had said something to me, and maybe they were getting a little too close, or maybe they're trying to get a little handsy, and I would just sort of back up and lean into Bas Rutten, and then Bas Rutten would handle it. He would sort of step in front and be like, hey, is there anything you need to say to this woman or whatever? I've literally had moments where Bas Rutten was my protection detail. I will love him forever for that, but like, he's amazing. He's a legend, of course. Nogueira, he actually almost plowed me over on Saturday night at UFC 213. I was coming in, he was coming out, he was like, bah, 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 bah. He kind of plowed me over, and I was like, it's okay. It's like, I just started like a Nogueira chant because I'm like a dork like that, but we all bow down to Nogueira. But Don Frye, I think maybe Thursday we'll put out some stuff we have with Don Frye. We have some legendary stuff with, I don't even know if we ever put out with Don Frye for some reason, but we should. If you look at my Karyn Bryant channel, the channel you're watching now, and just search Don Frye, legendary stuff. I worked with Don Frye on some smaller UFC shows, smaller MMA shows, where he was commentating, working along with Ron Kruk and stuff, and the three of us, and Don may have showed up drunk and slept on the floor at 10 a.m. Don may have said incredibly inappropriate things, and I mean, that's just all day, every day. But God damn it, Don Frye is the real effing stuff. Like, that guy is so amazing, and obviously his fights are amazing. And Don is like the epitome of a man. The stuff he was saying about Misha was wicked awkward. And I feel for her, because that's kind of hard. You're like, okay, now I'm afraid you're actually going to rape me. So now I'm a little frightened. But Don is all good fun. Don is amazing. I did think he got a little out of control, though. To talk 45 minutes before you even introduce Sakuraba, like, the point was to introduce Sakuraba and induct him in the Hall of Fame, and apparently he spoke for like 45 or 50 minutes before he even did that, and talked about Misha's butt for that long. Misha's butt, by the way, spectacular. I've seen it. Sometimes we share a dressing room, just so you guys know. Yeah, she's hot, as much as you think she is, but it was probably a little inappropriate for Don to say as much as he did. Don Frye gonna Don Frye, and you can't rein him in. And we don't want a PC Don Frye anyway, do we? Really? Nobody wants Don Frye that plays by the rules. Yeah. So, I mean, seriously, like, nobody wants that. Okay, so let's see. Bryant Stan is too freaking nice. Zemby, I don't trust him. He's not, though. That's the thing. He's nice, and he's polite, and he's professional. But Bryant Stan has a way better sense of humor than anybody gives him credit for. And not everything about him is nice. Brian Stan has a lot more depth than people maybe give it credit for. He's awesome. Let me just leave it at that. Brian Stan is awesome. And like I said, everything about politics we may not agree on, but I would vote for him in a second if I could. And I hope we get the chance to, because he's probably better than what's happening right now. I mean, probably better than what's happening right now. I don't care. Even all you Trump supporters got to know that homeboy's not doing that great a job, is he? Even all you Trump supporters got to admit Brian Stan would probably be better right now, because at least he could fight.
There's
Okay.
a women's panel.
Okay, Manuel Ruiz, are you part Jamaican? Yes. I am half Jamaican, straight up. My mom is Jamaican. My dad was American, so my mom is straight up Jamaican, as Alistair Overeem, if you guys didn't know, is also part Jamaican. So whenever I see him, we sort of joke about that. And actually, I was joking that I was going to send the picture of him up on the desk with us to the Daily Gleaner, which is the Jamaican newspaper. But Alistair, if I believe his father, I believe, is Jamaican. So yeah, so there's that. But yes, I am part Jamaican. So wait, what were you? Oh, the women's panel. Okay. Oh no. So yeah, there was a women's panel again. All this stuff, I was working for Fox, but Wade was shooting all this stuff for MMA Heat. So you guys are watching this podcast right now on my Karyn Bryant channel, but you should really subscribe to youtube.com/MMA Heat and go over there and look for all the stuff that he did for Fight Week, because over there is where he's got all the workouts, open workouts and media scrums and press conferences and, the panels and the Hall of Fame stuff. Well, Hall of Fame, I think we might have skipped that because they were only going to let us show 10 seconds of it, and so we had dinner instead. But anyway, he's got a ton of stuff. So if you go over to MMA Heat, youtube.com/MMA Heat, you'll see a ton of stuff over there. But the women's panel was interesting. Our girl Megan O'Leary was hosting it. She's a super cool chick. And it had Michelle Watterson, Paige Van Zandt, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and Chris Cyborg. So that is definitely worth checking out. Those are 4 legit badass women, 5 women, badass women. My girl Megan's badass too. And so that is definitely worth checking out. Joanna, like we were saying, talked about jumping into fight Valentina Shevchenko, which would have been crazy. But Michelle Watterson will be working with me this weekend. We have UFC Glasgow, early morning call times on FS1 and everything. But Michelle will be with me and Kenny and Michael Bisping. So it'll be 2-on-2, girls versus boys. Michelle and I are going to team up. Karate Hottie and I are going to team up. And I don't know why all of a sudden I'm acting like it's a fight. Like me and Michelle are going to fight Bisping and Kenny. But to tell you what I'm going to do if I am going to fight him, low blows all day. Like, why wouldn't I do that, right? Michelle could, we're going to kick their butts. But anyway, she's going to be with me this weekend for UFC Glasgow, which is going to be really fun. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Gunnar Nelson. That's the main event. That's actually going to be really fun. But yes, the women's panel is really cool. Chris Cyborg fighting at UFC 214. Chris is a girl who we have known for a very long time. And I first met her I think it was when I was doing MMA, the CBS Saturday Night Fights. I think that might have been the first time I met Chris, or even maybe before then, but she's always been super cool. I'm very happy that she is getting a title shot finally for the UFC. Tonya Evinger, though, obviously a really big deal, and a woman who is such a pioneer for the sport. A woman who I believe, I'm going to say it, I think Chris is going to win that fight, but I don't think it's going to be easy, because Tonya is a woman who is not only very able, but also can hang around for a long time. She's incredibly durable. So I don't think it's going to be as easy as some of Chris's other fights have been. But I will say I do believe Chris is going to win it, but I'm really actually happy to see Tonya Evinger getting this shot. I think that's pretty badass. I'm really actually pretty psyched about that. I'll be in the studio for that show for UFC 214. Wade will be at the event, though, covering it. So, again, we like to kind of bang on this stuff. We like to kind of double team it. So there'll be a ton of MMA Heat coverage for UFC 214, and I'll also be in the studios at Fox. But it's a home game, so we love that stuff. So we're going to be very excited about it. How cold was it in there? Where are you talking about?
I showed Chris Cyborg footage.
Oh, because of her nipples? Really?
Cold. It was cold.
You guys get excited? Okay. Whatever, it's nipples. I guess it was cold.
It was cold.
All right. It was cold. Nipples are really that exciting still, huh? I guess if you're 12. I can see nipples every day. Look, I'm going to look. Oh, bam, bam, bam. Nipples. Look at that. There's not 3. There's 4. Bam, bam, bam. I don't know why I did 3. I'm acting like there's 3 nipples. There's 4. There's only 2. And they look pretty good. but you can't see them right now. Claudia is...
There's 10 nipples.
I don't have 10 nipples. I have 2.
On the screen.
On the screen. On the screen, here's another shot of more nips. Thanks, Wade. Yeah, no, I only have 2. And I like them. Okay, let's see.
I do too.
Wade's seconding that thought, so that's good. Okay, so what else? Does anybody have any questions? So UFC 213.
We got to talk about the new middleweight champion.
I was just going to say, we should talk about this. So, Robert Whittaker, and it was so cool because I got to tell him this at the desk. You know, he came up to the FS1 desk after the fights, and I got to talk to him about it as well, and I told him, you know, I met him at UFC at the TUF Smashes. I went to Australia in 2012, and he was fighting in the TUF Smashes finale, and I met him there, and we were at our good friend John Wayne Parr's gym, Boon Chu, JWP, what up? Wayne Parr is such a, that dude, talk about a wrecking machine himself. But anyway, I met Robert then, and I was able to tell him this on the air the other day, but like, I swear to you, I saw something in him. He was so mature. He was so composed. He just at the very young age he already was, just seemed like he knew what was up. He seemed focused. He seemed like he had everything together. So I talked to him last week at UFC Media Day that they had here in LA. If you guys see it on my channel, you'll see that interview. Actually kind of fun, maybe in hindsight, to go look at it. But I talked about it, and he was like, no, I still had a lot of growing to do. I still had a lot of learning to do. But I mean, come on, that dude, he just put it together on Saturday, and his knee was already trashed. If you guys didn't hear, his knee was already messed up before the fight with Yoel. Yoel goes right for it immediately, smashes it backwards. Robert said it set him back weeks in terms of his recovery or whatever, but he knew it during the camp, but he was like, listen, if I say anything about it, maybe I can't fight. I'm just going to suck it up and go for it. He went for it. You know, I'm pretty sure all 3 judges gave Romero the first 2 rounds, but then the momentum shifted. You know, Yoel kind of took the foot off the gas and coasted a little in the 3rd, and Robert was able to turn it around. I actually really like Yoel. He's always been super cool with me, and he's a fun person to talk to, and I really like the idea of him as this villain, and I loved the idea of Michael versus Yoel for the drama between them. But I couldn't be happier for Robert Whittaker. I mean, he is just like, he's kind of everything you want in a fighter if for the true martial artist people. Respectful, honorable, talented, gifted, friendly, wonderful. So much to like about him. So he came on the post-fight show with us. It was Mike, Kenny, and Dominic and me, and we had so much fun with him. And Michael's trying to wind him up and trying to, you know, stir it up a little bit. And listen, Robert and Michael are going to have an incredible fight together. And we were kind of playing it up and winding it up and stirring it up and trying to get the little smack talk together. And you can't really have that much smack talk together because honestly, Michael respects Robert a great deal. Robert respects Michael a great deal. But they were set to fight at one point already, and they're going to have to throw down for it. I cannot wait. Honestly, don't know on that one. That's like a good fight. A really good fight, and they're kind of similar people. One thing I was asking Robert about was, I was like, hey, look, you're known for your left hook, and we know Michael was left hook Larry, took out Luke Rockhold with his left hook. Like, I just feel like that fight is going to just be high volume, nonstop action. It's mostly going to play out on the feet because neither of those guys is trying to take anybody down. I cannot wait for that. I think it's going to be just awesome, but my goodness, so happy for Whittaker. Such a good dude. Such a good dude. Okay, so Misha, people are talking about. Okay. What else? Was there anything? Okay, speaking of the Reem, seeing you won't be fine. Okay, the champ next. What's the matchup to make? Yeah, you know, for Alistair, I get it. I know he wants that rematch with Stipe. It's hard. I mean, you know, Stipe's been doing so well. Like I said before, I don't want Ngannou to get fast-tracked to a title shot too soon. We see what happens with him and Junior Dos Santos. But honestly, I mean, I feel like Overeem's more deserving than some of these other guys. I mean, heavyweight division is wide open. It's wide open. You know, honestly, I thought I'm okay with the scoring. You know, all the judges gave Overeem the first 2 rounds. But one judge gave Fabricio a 10-8 in the 3rd round, and 2 judges gave it a 10-9. And I saw some headlines today saying that Fabricio was going to petition the scoring. I don't know if he's going to have any luck with that. I'm sorry. There's something in my eye. I'm acting weird. I don't know if he's going to have any luck with that. And that was a hard fight for me to watch. If any of you guys know MMA Heat at all, you know Fabricio is one of our dear friends. And I just adore him. But I can see why the judges gave the first couple of rounds to Alistair Overeem. So the third round was great for Fabricio. I don't know if it was a 10-8 because Alistair was in trouble and he was certainly threatened. But I don't know if he was getting like demolished to the point so much of it being a 10-8. And it's also so tricky because the new rules were not in effect. If they were in effect, that maybe would have worked in Fabricio's favor. I don't know. That being said, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying on that fight. I guess I agree with the judges that Overeem won 2 rounds to 1. I'll say that's what I'll say about that fight. That's what I'll say about that. What else, Wade? Anything good here that I'm missing?
We haven't talked about Pettis.
Oh, Anthony Pettis. Welcome back. So, Pettis and Jim Miller, we kind of knew that fight was just going to be all fun. And we were talking about it on the show. Like, it's not for rankings. It's not for, title shots, whatever. It's just for fun. And it was exactly what we hoped it would be. It was all about Anthony getting his mojo back. Really happy for him. I like Jim Miller. Jim Miller's a stand-up guy. Jim Miller is a dude that, like, whenever Jim Miller fights, you're like, oh, it's going to be a bloody throwdown. Sweet. So he always delivers and is just such a good, reliable fighter for, you put Jim Miller on a card and you know it's money right there. It's money. So putting him and Anthony Pettis together I thought was a really smart idea. But I'm an unabashed Anthony Pettis fan. Like, I'm happy to see him coming back. I didn't like, I was in Vancouver when he beat Alex Oliveira, which I was actually pretty amazed by that because Alex had him threatened so many times. And at 145, that cut for Anthony was really, really hard. And Alex Oliveira is such a great jiu-jitsu guy and had him threatened so many times. And the fact that Pettis submitted Oliveira was really amazing to me and really said a lot to me about Anthony Pettis and the heart that he has and and how he was able to really dig deep for that. But, come on. I like him at 55. That's better for him. And I know he went to 45 to kind of reinvent himself and shake off some of the bad things that happened at 55. But that's where he really belongs. And it was really cool for him. We saw it in the post-fight show. He was talking to Megan. God, what is in my eyeball? Okay. He was talking to Megan, and he was saying just like how much of a relief it was for him to be there and to not be fighting for a title and to not have all these consequences and to not have everything matter, to just go out there and rediscover the fun, which I love. And you could see that. The old Showtime showed up. There was almost sort of a Showtime kick. He's climbing off the wall. He's doing this. He's doing that. He found the love again. And, I talked to Tyron Woodley a lot, who trains with him out at Rufus Sport. Obviously, it's such a solid gym. They know what the hell they're doing out there. And so to see Anthony just come back in such fine form to me was really, really, really satisfying. I hope he gets to make a run for it. I don't know what we do with him next. Somebody had asked me before. We were having a little technical difficulty, so I was just typing some answers to people. So people were asking what was next in terms of Anthony Pettis, in terms of Gaethje, in terms of guys like Poirier and Alvarez. So I saw Dustin Poirier in the lobby of the hotel when I was coming back from one of the nights. And super cool guy. We were talking. I said, hey, so what's the deal? Because we're on the air and I keep talking about you and I'm talking about you as a potential opponent for a lot of these guys. Are you and Eddie Alvarez running it back? And he said, yeah, I think we're gonna run it back in October. But so that's what's on schedule for him. But if that happens, cool, because I was totally feeling that Alvarez fight with Poirier. But if not, those are some opponents that could be good for Anthony Pettis. I know he had the fight with Eddie Alvarez already. Eddie wrestled him and won that fight. I don't know if we necessarily a rematch there, but there's a lot of opportunities. Anthony coming into this fight wasn't really the lightweight at middleweight, and I think at featherweight, and they had him as like the number 6 featherweight or something like that. So tomorrow, the UFC rankings usually come out and they kind of shuffle everything back in. But I just think there's a lot of great opportunities for Anthony Pettis at lightweight. He's super fun to watch. He's dynamic. He's fun. I'm happy. I hope the mojo is really back for him because when Anthony Pettis is on, he's just ridiculous. So what's up?
No, sorry to interrupt. I would just say the other thing.
You're not interrupting. We're
tomorrow, Dana's contender
okay.
series.
Hi. So tomorrow. Okay, I'm just looking at this stuff. How long have we been going? A little bit.
Just about an hour.
An hour.
Almost an hour.
Boy, I can talk to myself for an hour. This is crazy. And I'm talking to you guys too, obviously. So the lightweight division is terrifying, Philip Estrada. You're correct. Anybody who jumps in there has got balls of steel, because that is crazy. Okay, so Gegard's walking around 220 per his chat with Luke. Gegard picks up. Listen, who are we fooling? Gegard's going to go over there and be a 2-division champ in like a week. No disrespect, but come on. Anyway, actually, I talked to Gegard at length about going up to light heavyweight in the UFC as well. And that's something that we talked about before. We were thinking, like, before he got the fight with Vitor, he could have fought Little Nog and blah, 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 blah. We've gone back and forth with that. But Gegard going to roll up in that joint, 2 belts, and call it a day. Let's see. Okay, so the Contender Series starts tomorrow for Dana. That will be fun. That is on Fight Pass. But tomorrow we have the Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather press conferences. That's going to be bananas. And he's doing that all week. Like I said, he'll be on FS1 with that. And Wade will likely be down at Staples covering that stuff, getting the press conference and or crazy man on the street stuff, which is going to be just mental. So the whole week is going to be crazy. Lots of fun. So what else do we have there? Is there anything else that we need to know about this week?
Oh, Dana sent in a photo for us.
Dana sent in a photo. Okay, let's see, Wade.
He loves MMA Heat. This is from Vegas, it looks like. I see Vegas in the background. Maybe it was after the press conference, but he's clearly an MMA Heat fan. He's holding up one of our stickers. I was handing those out all week long.
For those who can't tell, that's the Dana White head.
No.
No, I'm sorry. That's Dana in his hotel.
That Dana's a fan. He is a big fan of MMA Heat. Fact.
That is hilarious. We were goofing around. That's the Dana White head with the MMA Heat stickers. But he does. He loves us. He's a big fan.
If you listen to the post-fight press conference, I think he was talking about us in length. Here he is.
Oh my God!
He's talking about, for an independent website, we're probably the best out there.
This is the thing. You can't trust anything you see on the internet and Photoshop.
He's saying Whittaker is an awesome cameraman. Karyn is just priceless. Does amazing interviews. What else is he saying here? If you're not subscribed, you're an asshole. Oh no, a lot of stuff.
At any rate, folks. That is it. It's been it was a crazy week. It was really, really fun. I think that's all I really have to say. I don't have anything too crazy else to add. No. So, again, we don't have UFC tonight this week, but we'll be in the studio for all the Conor and Floyd stuff, so it's going to be crazy. All right.
Just be sure you subscribe.
Oh, my God.
This is a great channel. If you're not subscribed, you're wrong. Tell your friends.
Oh my God. He would have dropped like 10 more F-bombs by now.
Well, fuck, Karyn. I'm trying to keep it classy. You know what I'm saying? You said that this was PG. If I can say fuck, I'll say fuck. Fucking subscribe.
At any rate, Wade and I are going to get out of here to go see if we can catch a late night version of Baby Driver or Spider-Man 3. I don't know which one ever. It's not even Spider-Man 3. What is it? Spider-Man like 97? Yeah. It's like...
I'd rather see Baby Driver.
Yeah, so we'll probably go see Baby Driver. Get out of here and relax a little bit. But thank you guys so much for checking everything out. We really appreciate it. Again, so if you have not checked everything out that we did, if you're just looking back, go to youtube.com/MMA Heat. That's where all the stuff is that Wade shot at International Fight Week, UFC 213, UFC TUF 25 finale, and all that stuff. It's going to be good stuff. And I already got word for the next season of The Ultimate Fighter that we'll be back at it doing Tough Talk again, which is going to be awesome. So much good stuff coming up. But again, tune in to the FS2. We're going to have all the Conor stuff, and then they will rerun it on FS1. We're just not sure if it's going to run on time. So it's going to start on FS2, but they will rerun it on FS1 and everything. It's so funny. And Mr. Danky saying Karyn is so lame. Screw you, Mr. Danky. I'm not lame at all. I'm totally awesome. You're lame.
Mr. Danky, do you have your own head?
Mr.
When
Danky.
When they start making these and passing
Mr.
them out,
Danky.
you know.
Apparently, Mr. Danky's just a troll. What evs? Anyway, thanks for joining us. Now we're just getting stupid. Yep. But appreciate it. On Twitter, I'm at Karyn Bryant. On Instagram, KB Heat. Facebook, Karyn Bryant. You can also find MMA Heat on YouTube and Facebook. Also, we have Trocasao MMA. Evie and I will probably be back at it doing our Portuguese podcast either tomorrow or Wednesday. You know, obviously, she's always got a line on everything that happens with the Brazilians. And certainly, there was a lot of action with the Brazilians this past weekend. So, always a good time. So, thank you guys for checking all this out. We appreciate it, and we'll see you later. You what?
Yeah. Fuck you, Danky.